Hey everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined in the studio this week, as always, by our associate editor on the Diz, Mr. Steve Porter.
Hello.
And our associate producer, back in the production nook, Oliver Green.
Hello, everyone.
And this week, we're going to talk about something. I've been getting a lot of suggestions to do this. I've been getting them on Facebook, on Twitter, and email. People want to know what the best and worst table service restaurants are on the Disney dining plan if you only want to use one credit. So the best one credit table service restaurants at Walt Disney World. Now, for those who are not familiar with what we're talking about, when you get the dining plan with the Disney package, you get a certain, depending on whether you get a quick service plan, the regular dining plan, or the deluxe plan, you get credits toward meals. So on the regular dining plan, you will get one table service meal per day, per person. And some restaurants require, the really good restaurants, quote unquote, require 2 table service credits. And that will be a show coming up in the next few weeks. But a lot of the restaurants, the table service restaurants at Disney World require 1. If it's a quick service restaurant, you have a quick service credit every day as well. So you get 1 snack, 1 quick service credit, 1 table service credit per day per person, added on to your room key. So what we're going to talk about are the best and worst 1 table service credit restaurants. We're going to start out with number 5. We have 5 in each. And I'm going to start out with the number 5 worst table service, one credit table service restaurant at Disney World. And I am giving that distinction to the Rainforest Cafe. Specifically the Rainforest Cafe at Disney Springs, but I also include the Rainforest Cafe at Animal Kingdom. It's just overpriced and bad.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost on the level of bar food, but almost worse. I don't know.
Bar food has more charm. Bad bar food has more charm than what I've had in Rainforest. Now, look, I'm not going to say I haven't had occasionally something decent at a Rainforest Cafe. I'll just say that oftentimes, and I'm not being facetious when I say this, oftentimes I will go without eating if that's my only option. So I really don't care for the Rainforest Cafes.
I will say that I remember as a little kid liking the idea of Rainforest Cafe. And so I think that that's kind of the market it hits, is for families with young kids that want to do like this rainforest fun themed dinner. I just think if you're at Walt Disney World, though, there's plenty of other options where you can have a fun themed dinner
and better options,
and have something better. So,
and one of them is going to be on our best list. So let's stay tuned for that. But Rainforest Cafe comes in at number 5 as the worst table service 1 credit restaurant. Coming in number 5 at the best end is Be Our Guest at the Magic Kingdom. This remains a 1 table service credit restaurant. I don't know how long that's going to last. There was for a long time Le Cellier in Epcot, which was the must-have reservation for everybody, was a 1 table service credit, and the place you couldn't touch a reservation there. Much the same way Be Our Guest is. They made it 2 table service credits, a lot easier to get a reservation there now. So, I mean, I have no information to suggest that Be Our Guest is in danger of becoming a 2 table service credit restaurant, but it would not surprise me. But I put that in at number 5 because it is a very, very, very difficult reservation to get. You really have to book that 6 months out to the day that you want it. So for that reason, I put it at number 5. But I still think it's a very good restaurant. The meals I've had there, subsequent to its grand opening, been very good. They've maintained consistent quality. Service is very good. Atmosphere is unbeatable. Crowded, a little loud, but
I was just going to touch on the atmosphere. I think that that's probably one of my favorite parts about this restaurant, is how immersive. I feel like this was kind of one of the new era of Disney realizing how important being immersive is. And, this restaurant just nails it.
Well, you really saw it with the entire new Fantasyland project. I think you really saw, Disney Imagineering at their best. Just how they did that whole area. And this was the
crown jewel.
The crown jewel of that redesign of Fantasyland. And the way they did it, the way they captured it, it's phenomenal. So, and the fact that the food, I was concerned because when it first opened, I was very concerned that, wow, okay, this food's really good, but they're going to go downhill because it's going to be popular and everybody's going to want to eat there. My experience so far has been that has not happened. So that's what I think of Be Our Guest.
I think it's definitely earned its spot at number 5, and I'm glad it's sitting at number 5 because when you compare it to number 5 on our worst list, which is, of course, Rainforest Cafe, as we just said, I feel like Be Our Guest is what Rainforest Cafe tried to achieve. It's a restaurant that's heavily themed, because that's all I hear when people say Rainforest Cafe, like, oh, yeah, the food's not great, but, the theming's good. It's good for the kids. Be Our Guest it's a great all-rounder. The theming is absolutely out of this world, as well as great service and great food. So, if I know they're in very different locations, but if you're looking for that dining experience that involves a heavier themed atmosphere, this is the best one to go for, definitely.
Agreed. All right. So number 4 on our worst list this week goes to the San Angel Inn in the Mexico Pavilion at Epcot. I stand by what I said years ago. This is one step above frozen dinner. I would not be surprised if most of this food is prepared in advance and reheated to order. That's how horrible it is. And it, this is, again, we were just talking about Be Our Guest, not letting their quality or the value slip because of their location and their immersive theming. Here, I mean, in terms of, being in a really amazing atmosphere, it's this, inside that temple is that night, it's themed to that you're eating on, outdoors at night in Mexico with, the El Rio del Tiempo ride going by. It's beautiful. It's absolutely amazing. And then they serve you this Mexican crap.
Well, not even to touch on the food, but to just go towards the atmosphere. I don't know if we're disagreeing a little bit, but I actually think that this location is just not a good location for food because it's so dark in there that I remember the last time you guys did a review, you said you could barely see what was on your plate.
It's very dark.
And so,
but that, look, I'll accept that. I'll accept low light levels with an ambient theme if the food I'm being served is good. Now, I will say I'm not a massive fan of Mexican food. Generally, I have to be in a specific mood for it. But I've had it, and I've had good Mexican food. I've had, Mexican food that I was like, wow, that's incredible. I've never had it at San Angel Inn, and I know a lot of people that I've spoken with, a lot of things I've heard over the years. This has been a consistent theme. This is a restaurant that is in desperate, desperate need of a reimagination, not in its theme, but in its kitchen. Agreed. Anything from you, Ollie?
No, I think you already really touched on it in the beginning. I think it's really sad that the actual aesthetic of the restaurant almost tricks people into eating there because it looks amazing, and I think that's what they're relying on because every time I'm in there, it always looks like they've got people eating at the restaurant. It's not like,
Oh yeah, no, it does well.
It's sad that they're relying on that rather than the actual the quality of food, which it's Epcot does amazing food. It's a real letdown. It really is.
It is. All right. Well, number 4 on our best list is the Kona Cafe at the Polynesian. I can't count the number of times I've eaten in this restaurant. And consistently, whether it was breakfast, lunch, or dinner, it is a restaurant I get excited about when I know I'm going because the food is always good, particularly at breakfast. I think they do an amazing job at breakfast.
Well, I think location-wise, it's a great place for, I think, any breakfast or dinner or whatever, because it's a great way to go back to the Magic Kingdom or start your day to then go to the Magic Kingdom by eating here and then just hopping right on the monorail, having a great meal. The steamed dumplings with some sort of sauce that they have there is probably my favorite dumplings that I've ever had.
It's really good, yeah.
It's just a delicious restaurant, and the location, you can't beat it.
You can't. I love Kona Cafe. I just love it.
There's very few restaurants that I've actually been able to say I've tried everything on their menu. This is one of them, and I can hand on heart say that everything on that menu is outstanding. There is not one thing that I've ate there that I thought, meh, this is okay. Everything was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So,
It's a great restaurant. And, we're not looking, when we say best and worst, I'm not looking necessarily at value per dollar. I'm looking at for me, I mean, that's all I can go on, is, what I've experienced. If I'm using the dining plan, what is it? What are the places I want to eat and what are the places I want to avoid based on how good the meal is, effectively. So number 4, Kona Cafe. Number 3 on our worst list goes to Boatwright's Dining Hall at Port Orleans Riverside. And I gave this place a chance. I ate there, I can't tell you, I think 4 or 5 times because I couldn't believe it was really that bad. And every time they exceeded their badness from the time before.
Badness.
It's just bad. The food is bad. The service was bad. There was nothing about it that I found redeeming. And it's a shame because this is such a popular resort. Port Orleans Riverside, beautiful resort. And what's funny is that I've always found their quick service, their food court at Port Orleans Riverside to be very, very good. So it's not that they can't make good food. It's that they can't make good food in Boatwright's.
Well, I was about to just address how great of a resort it is because it's actually my favorite moderate resort. But I've never actually had a meal here, so I'm really disappointed to hear that it's not good because, that's...
Again, that's been my experience. And again, many people that I've talked to, many things I've seen posted online over the years, this is a consistent narrative here. It's a consistent narrative. There are going to be people out there who love it. I'm not taking anything away from you. I'm saying I didn't. That's all. All right, so that's number 3 on our worst list. Number 3 on our best list goes to Tusker House at Animal Kingdom. Now, if you want a character meal and you want great food and great character interaction, then just stop looking. Stop looking. Go to Tusker House. Again, consistency here. These are all places I have eaten at multiple times. So I'm not saying I just had one meal here 3 years ago and I thought it was good. I've eaten there at all these places multiple times. And I'm always blown away by just how good, even at the end, because, they have those periods where, breakfast ends, but lunch hasn't started yet, or they're just putting out lunch. So it may be the end of breakfast or the end of lunch, and the food is still as good as it was. It's still good food. It's not like left there and, we're not going to replace that. And it's a lot of different options. Now, you guys were just there, weren't you?
Me and Rhino were.
You and Rhino.
Yeah, and I'll say I am not known for having an adventurous palate. And Rhino is a little bit more adventurous, and we both really found things that we liked because they have a variety of things. They have as simple as mac and cheese or like this spiced crazy thing, stew, whatever that I've never heard of, that I can't pronounce half the words in the title. But they have both of those things, and even for someone who's not really usually willing to try stuff that's kind of weird or strange, even the things that I tried that I didn't think I was going to like, I liked. And that says a lot. I also will say that the character dining, I hadn't done a character dining in a while before this. And the way that they stagger breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just a little tip here, if you schedule your lunch right before they start taking reservations for dinner, they have like an hour where they will let the people continuing to eat lunch before the dinner guests come in. And that's kind of what happened to me and Rhino. And then we had, a lot of people leaving, and then our whole little section was just me and Rhino at our table. So the characters gave us lots of time. They were there, like sitting at our
That's a
table
great
with
tip.
us. And so I believe if you schedule your lunch at 2:00 before the 3:00 period of hour of them being gone, you get a lot of character time. So
2:00's a good time to go
2:00's a good time
Tusker
to go.
House.
Yep.
And you're going to get good food. You're going to get good food. Whether you're there breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you're going to get good food and great character interaction. Those characters do a phenomenal job in there. So, number 3 on our best list, Tusker House. That brings us to number 2 on our worst one-table service credit restaurants. And that goes to the Captain's Grill at the Yacht Club. I've had because I used to love this place. And this was like a hidden gem. Nobody was ever in there. The food was great. Prices were reasonable. So like years ago, I used to tell people, you got to go. You got to go to Captain's Grill. Well, those days are long gone. Captain's Grill, what killed it for me was dining there with about 5 of us. It's a couple years ago. And one member of our party got a seafood bowl. It was, I don't know, clams and mussels and other stuff that you haven't, because I don't eat seafood. He gets to the bottom of the plate, and there is a massive hair at the bottom of the bowl. And they actually not accused, but said, "Oh, that must be yours." Now, this guy had hair about as short as mine, and this hair was about, make sure I get it in the camera, about that long. It was huge. Huge hair. Clearly came from either a woman or a hippie. And yet they would not take responsibility for it. Have had so many service failures there. And then to boot, the food has just not been good for a long time. Now, I want to say, in fairness, there are a lot, because this is not the first time I've mentioned this in one of these top or best or worst shows or on our other shows. There are people that always come back and say, I've recently eaten there, it's been very good, or that I love Captain's Grill, I go there all the time. So there are people who love this, and I just want to reiterate, these are my experiences. Your mileage may vary. Your experience may be different. I'm not taking anything away from that. In my experience, if I'm on the dining plan, the last place I'm going to waste a table service credit or $1 is going to be Captain's Grill. There's only one other place that I would avoid even more, and that comes up next. But number 2 on my list for worst table service restaurants to use your dining plan, Captain's Grill at the Yacht Club. Which brings us over to number 2 on the best list. And I got to tell you something. Number 2 and number 1 on this list are interchangeable.
Yep, I agree.
And number 2 right now, and again, interchangeable with number 1, Ohana at the Polynesian. And I don't care if you're going, I would suggest dinner over breakfast. But the breakfast is character meal. And it's good. The dinner is not a character meal, and it's better.
It's so good.
And I'm sitting here talking. We got to book it. I got to book it. I got to go back. I miss it so much. I love it. I love it.
Every single thing there is so good.
And if
it's one of those places where they bring you the food, and you can totally get lost in one item because it's so good that you forget. You get full on one thing because everything is so good that you forget about dessert and things later down.
And this, this is another restaurant with a storied past where it was really good, got really bad, and then came back. So these things do change, but Ohana has so consistently been good for the last few years that I've been eating there. I also love that for dinner, you can do the room service thing. If you're staying at the Poly, you can order your room service from Ohana, and they'll bring you that food, which I've done. Oliver did that as well.
Certainly did. Just a tip, if you're going to go ahead and do that, and I truly mean this, when I say I've got an appetite on me, I'm not lying. One will cover 2 people. easily one serving that they bring to the room, because it's family style. So in the restaurant, they'll just keep bringing it to you. So if you order it to the room, obviously they're not going to do that. So they just bring you a heap of food.
Yeah.
I mean, an absolute heap. So one of those will cover 2 people with ease. So
Exactly.
yeah, no, it's absolutely
But still go
outstanding.
ahead and order 2 because it's Ohana. But I find that, just in terms of, again, it's at the Poly, phenomenal food and great atmosphere.
Great service.
Great service.
Ticks all the boxes. It really does. Every time you go there, they're on it. They know what they're doing, because this place is busy. It's really busy, but they've got it down to a science. Yeah.
And while it's
outstanding.
difficult, it can be difficult to get a reservation there during busier times. It's not impossible.
Yeah.
I go by, when we're doing a park day or we're doing something, and I look to see what's available for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
I can maybe 5 times out of 10, I can grab Ohana if that's what I'm in the mood for.
I'll also just mention, if you don't know a lot about Walt Disney World, it has a great, if you're lucky enough to get a window seat and it's at nighttime, you could be lucky enough to see the fireworks while you're eating.
Not the best view, but
Yeah.
yeah, you can. You can see the fireworks from there.
The food will make up for the view if it's not fantastic, because the food's amazing.
Agreed. Agreed. So that is number 2 on our best list. And now we're at number 1 on our worst table service credit restaurant. And that is Tony's Town Square Restaurant in the Magic Kingdom. Anybody who watches our show on any regular basis knows of my absolute disdain for this location. And that's because it is the worst Italian food I have ever put in my mouth. It's terrible, and it's terrible consistently. And I'm not the only one who feels that way. Now, I know this is another restaurant that has its fans. Bless your heart. For me, raised in an Italian family, from New Jersey, been to Italy a few times. I don't know. I think I know good Italian food. And I know that Tony's Town Square is not good Italian food. And I know that red sauce is coming out of a damn jar, a damn can, not even a jar. Jar would be better. This is canned red sauce that really tastes pre-made. And the way you know that is if you're making a red sauce from cans, if you're using canned tomatoes to make it, if you don't cook it long enough, you get this kind of metallic tin taste to it. And that's what this has. This tastes like it just came out of a can, was heated up, and thrown on the plate. Food is atrocious there. And they should be ashamed of themselves, because it is in a premier location of the busiest theme park in the world. And that and it's been complained about by numerous people for many years, and they've done nothing. Now we're hearing a rumor that they're getting ready to really overhaul this place. Hopefully the menu or the kitchen is the first place they start, and get rid of the. I don't know. I don't want to be mean, but they need to make some serious changes there. But that's the absolute last place on property I would waste a table service credit for a meal.
And it's really a shame location-wise, because could you imagine if it was really, really good Italian food, how popular that place would be with its location?
Exactly. And you know what? Here's the thing. There is really good Italian food on Disney property.
Right. So it's not like they don't know how to do it.
You have Il Molino over in the Swan. You have Trattoria Al Forno at the Boardwalk. You have Tutto Italia in Epcot. You have Via Napoli.
Right.
So it's not like they don't know. And if they need some recipes for a good red sauce, I have them. I'm more than happy to loan them over to Tony's Town Square. I'll go over and show them how to make it. You can make a red sauce to order in 9 minutes that would be better than the sewage they dump on your plate with an order of spaghetti. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So Tony's Town Square, absolutely don't waste table service credit there. My opinion, of course. But I'm right, and if you disagree, you're wrong. I'm sorry. On this one, this is horrible Italian food. So, anybody disagree? Anybody? No? Okay. All right. Our number one, though, best one credit table service restaurant at Walt Disney World, in my opinion, I don't think anybody in this room is going to disagree. Boma at Animal Kingdom Lodge. Again, whether you're there for breakfast or dinner, I don't think they do lunch. I think it's breakfast and dinner. You're talking about just spectacular food. Spectacular food. And in this instance, I really think it is also an incredibly good value because this is not the cheapest buffet on property. No characters. There's no characters running around. But the food is absolutely outstanding consistently. And this is one of the most popular restaurants at Disney World, and for very good reason. People go out of their way. Animal Kingdom Lodge is not the easiest place in the world to get to. People go out of their way to go over there to go to Boma, and that's how good the food is.
Yeah, the first meal I had there, I had this bad expectation because I hadn't really had the best history of Disney buffets up until that point because I hadn't been to Tusker House and I hadn't been to Boma. And so I kind of came there not really thinking, and I was just blown away. And every time it's consistently that good.
It is.
Consistently.
And for years, since it opened, this has not gone through any dips. This has been consistently good since it opened, as has the Mara, which is Animal Kingdom Lodge's quick service food court. Again, hasn't gone through any dips. It's always been great. One thing, truly, Animal Kingdom Lodge does a lot of things really good. Food is very, very, very close to the top of the list. Jiko, Boma, the Mara, Sanaa, that's actually our honorable mention in the best list, is also over at Animal Kingdom Lodge. It's Sanaa over at on the DVC side.
I can't remember the name.
And it is Kidani Village.
Yes.
Excellent restaurant. Excellent restaurant. Not for everybody. It's a little bit more exotic. That's why I didn't put it on the top 5, because a lot of people are, not a lot of people, but some people are turned off by how the food's a little bit out there if you don't have an adventurous palate sometimes. So, and it's really good if you'll give it a try, but for a lot of people, it's just not their cup of tea. Well, it's just not it's not what they like. Mm-hmm. Whereas Boma has a lot of that authentic, a lot of authentic foods, but it's done in a way that I think is more accessible.
Yeah, it's toned down a little bit.
Well, because you have so many choices. Whereas when you go into a restaurant like Sanaa and it's a menu, you got to order one thing and hope you like it.
Yeah, true.
Whereas at Boma, you can try that and see if you like it or not. And if you don't, there's like 18 other things you can do.
That's a great point, though, because, with the buffet, you can kind of pick and choose. And, right, I mean, it allows people like me who, normally will order a cheeseburger to try something, that I wouldn't have normally tried.
Right. Exactly. So also, we should give our honorable mention on the worst side of things, since Sanaa is honorable mention on the best, and that's Hollywood and Vine over at Hollywood Studios. Just terrible. It's just terrible. Terrible food. People suffer through it. Loving, wonderful people suffer through that so that their kids can have the character interaction that goes on there. And I understand from a lot of people that it's been very good. Plus, there are characters there, Dr. McFeelgood or whatever the hell it is. Was it McStuffins? Or?
I think it's Doc McStuffins.
It's certainly not Dr. McFeelgood. I don't think that is.
Yeah. I want to read the character profile for Dr. McFeelgood.
Well, whatever it is. I know that, the characters you can't normally find anywhere else. And so the character interaction is quite good, so people forgive the food. I think Disney should not be forgiven for making people make that choice. You should have great character interaction and great food. There's no reason you can't do it. Why they choose to consistently do it, Hollywood and Vine, I'm not sure. But that's why that's on. So honorable mention on our worst list, Hollywood and Vine. Number 5, Rainforest Cafe. Number 4, San Angel Inn at Mexico in Epcot. Number 3, boat rights at Port Orleans Riverside. Number 2, Captain's Grill at the Yacht Club. And number 1, Tony's Town Square at the Magic Kingdom. Honorable mention on the best side, Sanaa at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Number 5 on our list, Be Our Guest Restaurant at the Magic Kingdom. Number 4, Kona Cafe at the Polynesian. Number 3, Tusker House at Animal Kingdom. Number 2, Ohana at the Polynesian. And number 1, Boma at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. So that will do it for our best and worst list for this week. We'll see you again next time with another edition of the Diz Unplugged. Have a great week, everybody.